Got it.
Sweet. All right. Okay, so let me take a look at our agenda, which is not very fully fleshed out. Um, so instead, okay, so the main thing that we've been working on over the last couple of weeks is release 3.1 as we're calling it. And it has just a lot of changes. I mean, it started off with just the market order, building that into the program code. Um, and then we just kept adding more and more things. And so now, it's renamed to release 3.1. And you can see the change log in the GitHub. If you go to the Mango v3 branch, sorry, Mango v3 repo and version v3.1 branch, there's a file there called changelog, and you can see the changelog. But just to like go over some of those on high level, there were a lot of optimizations made to order placement, reduce only and market order. We no longer like have to try to infer those things, or have a made up version of them in the UI. We can have them directly in the program code. Um, some optimizations to the way the keeper runs, so it's cheaper. I think that's like an important part of it. Can't really be decentralized, fully decentralized with incentives, but maybe more people would run it if it's cheaper. Um, what else? Oh, I don't know if you guys know about this thing called post only slide. I've never heard of that order type, but it's something that I've always wanted. But we just implemented that. Basically, if you were to place a post only order, and your post only order's limit price crosses the book, it normally it would just fail. But if you send a post only slide order, it will instead of crossing the book, it'll place your order at the best bid or best offer -1. So the best of the opposing side, or right under the opposing side, which is actually a pretty useful thing if you don't want to ever pay taker fees, if you're a market maker and you just want to quote on the book. So that's cool. Um, yeah, and you know, replaced a lot of the logging. Not a lot. All of the logging stuff that we had, replaced it with anchor events, and so now we can have more precise logging. Um, Even the logging that we were doing was expansive, but it wasn't super precise because it cost so much. It was like very expensive to run each of those logs. But we found like a 90% cost savings. Um, yeah, so a bunch of smaller things like that. Of course, stop loss orders were implemented and they're all tested and everything. We got the change in to allow liquidity params to be 50 bips and to the fourth exponent. So that had to be a program change. We had to change the program to allow an exponent other than 2 at the top. So we got that in. And the last step here is, I think Max just wrote the update of the governance UI. So we have to test that feature on DevNet, and then we can push it out on, probably we could push it out tomorrow, but we want to respect the Sabbath, the holy day. I don't know. Or it's just a day that we just want to chill. So we're going to do it Monday. Let's see. Yeah, so on that point, we have been spending a lot of time thinking about how to get liquidity on the platform. And, I wrote like in a few hours, wrote like a dummy market maker thing in TypeScript. we've been talking with various different professional traders, market makers, and some of them are even in our, are like hang out in our chat all the time. And those guys, I don't see them on in this call. Maybe it's like too early. But those guys are also committing to building the infrastructure to trade cross exchange. So that's happening slowly. There's a lot of people who we are helping, and they themselves are independently working on building their proper market makers. But yeah, that's obviously the biggest concern right now, is that the liquidity kind of sucks, and we haven't, we want to be able to tweak those parameters as well. We saw even 2 weeks ago that there was this one guy quoting like 2 million and getting almost all the rewards, and he since has tightened up his quotes, but still kind of not very close to the top of the book. So we're gonna try just being super aggressive and only rewarding people at the top of the book. So yeah, the market maker, the liquidity stuff is gonna improve, and I think if we know that there's at least one team, or one entity or person who can provide liquidity on perp that doesn't have a token on Serum, say AVAX or ADA or BNB, then we can just list those. If we have at least one person who can market make at decent volume. So yeah, it looks like not a lot's happening, but we're chugging along on these small changes that eventually will give us some good yields. Let's see. So we should have, well, I was hoping Max could be here to talk about the hackathon, but I don't know if either of you, any other guys know much about the hackathon? Steven or Nick or?
I know submissions are next week.
Yeah, and the plan is for us to, as I understand, now to be honest, I haven't looked too much into the hackathon. I've been focusing on other things. But as I understand, we will be picking the best one, or the one that has the most impact on Mango out of all the hackathon submissions, and then putting that up for a proposal to get $30,000. I believe that's right. I think Max could clarify if she was here, but
we want to give a little bit more than what we were originally slotted for.
Okay.
But yeah, right. We're gonna pick the projects incorporating Mango and judge those based on quality and design, and then give them a decent grant. I think around 50K is what we're shooting for.
Okay. Yeah. What's should be mentioned is that we don't actually have 50K to give. The DAO has 50K. So what we have to do, yeah, like we have to put this up for a vote. It should pass. I'm like very certain it would pass. But yeah, there's just that extra layer. So yeah, the hackathon, if anybody has any questions related to the hackathon, and we might as well talk about it now. I don't know if anybody tuned in who's working on like the hackathon number 4, or is a participant. No?
Microwave cola.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm working on the REST API, but I don't really have any questions so far. But I'm already collecting a lot of feedback from a lot of users who are using it. So I have like 5-6 guys with a lot of different suggestions.
Ah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we should talk about this afterwards. I think well, might as well mention this now. It's like there's a trading firm that wants something like Serum Vial. Like they use Serum Vial. Are you familiar with Serum Vial?
I think I've seen the project, but I don't really recollect anymore what it was about.
Yeah, basically it will, I think you run it, you get a WebSocket API for PubSub, fill events,
Okay.
those things, and incremental L2 order book updates. So instead of the whole order book, it just, so that might be, a useful addition to your project. But I know we're getting close to the finish line, so. Oh, no.
Yeah, good to know. Yeah, I think we can take it offline.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna see if we can get all the Mango submissions to post a little blurb on the governance forums, just so we can get a little bit more info on all the projects kind of working on Mango.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had, I guess over this week, we had this big bot attack. I hope no one was affected. I think Nick hammered them hard.
Ichi,
They're gone.
he might be in here. Shout out if you are.
Oh yeah, Ichi. Yeah, he got help from Ichi to hammer them hard. Yeah, but that's about it. I don't want to like drone on, and I did not prepare as much for this one. Like I said, traveling a lot, and there are just fewer big items, and Max is also traveling. I think the logging stuff has come up a lot. Actually, we've been putting a lot of time into this, right? Just being able to get historical data. Like that's the other main part of what we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. It's kind of unacceptable that people can't see how much funding they're earning or paying, or their P&L across time. Those are just features that you need to have. But believe me, there isn't really any other app on Solana that does that for you, and that's a reason. There's a reason for that, and so we're probably going to be the first. I could be wrong on that. I don't know if Orca or Step or someone has historical P&L that's accurate, but as far as I know, on Solana there isn't any such feature yet. And the reason for that is just like the amount of data that's being generated on chain, and the relative bulkiness, or the way it's not very useful data. And you'll know even after we roll out some of our features, we won't have really solid data on the spot side, like Serum Dex side, because we don't control how the logging happens on the Serum Dex. So, but it's pretty comprehensive, and the data will be even cleaner after we release 3.1 on Monday. And so far, you can calculate interest. You can look at like the total interest earned, which may be a little bit useful for you if you're doing taxes. And yeah, next step is funding, and then historical, like what's your interest across time, so forth. But all that's
Just a quick question. So,
yeah.
Are you replacing the older logging? Because I'm using it for this liquidation bot, which I wrote last weekend.
Yeah.
I think so. The newer logging would probably go live with 3.1, or?
Yeah, that's right. We had to get rid of the older logging because
Mm-hmm.
it just costs so much compute.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so people would well, okay, just I'll help you on board in the chat. You know, I'll help you on board with the
I
newer
think the
logging.
parsing should be very easy, right? Probably with Anchor.
Yeah, it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've written the parsing code as well. So
Mm-hmm. I think just one thing I noticed that one of the liquidation instruction was not having the asset price. I think two of them had.
yeah,
Yeah, but I don't
yeah,
know.
we basically fixed that stuff, and we also
Okay,
added
cool.
a bunch of it. It's easier to go. It's easier to check out, for example, what do you call it? Yeah, the branch. Sorry, the
Mm-hmm.
change log.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
check
I'll
out
check it.
the Mango v3. Yeah.
No worries.
Um, yeah. I think we're good. I think that covers our update section. Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss?
Well, what about the new governance that Maximilian's? I guess I guess maybe he's pretty ready to talk about it, but it would be interesting to hear more about the new proposal for kind of paying contributors and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, Max isn't here to talk about it, so, and I also have been busy, and this was sort of on my to-do list on the flight to kind of read up on the stuff. I briefly skimmed it. Let me skim it again so I can load it into short-term memory.
Also, there's about 4 different questions in the chat as well, not just from me, but from just like other random people about questions about Mango.
Oh, the chat, of course. Okay. So let's look at the DAO thing first.
It's kind of cool. It sounds like, people get allocated these, collaborator tokens. You give them to other people who you've worked with if you think they've done a good job.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the month, you split based on, what has been, has been shared around. The only real weakness I can think of is that it makes you really want to work with like generous people, So you're screwed if you don't work with someone who likes to give stuff away for free.
Yeah. So as I understand, it basically is allocating to these 10 people here. Is that right? His list.
I think I think
allowance
that's the
of
loose
100
proposal.
100 tokens. Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like there's a council or the allocators, the executive branch. And yeah, I think this could work. This way, you're not asking permission for every small detail. The one thing to kind of question is, how do we allocate these tokens? Should everyone get the same? I think that's fine. Yeah, and of course we can start with a smaller like amount, and, value, USD or MNGO value, just to try it out. Like on that topic, I was actually thinking that, and we discussed this earlier, that having a corp that sort of builds like a big Mango v4 feature, like a centralized entity that does this would be, I'm partial towards that, just so you can move quickly. But on top of that, I was thinking it should also have like a market making wing, like a if you think of FTX and Alameda, right? I think a big part of FTX success is that they can, any market that they launch, Alameda can just market make and provide liquidity. But people were saying they don't like this that much, or the person building Mango V4 shouldn't also be the one market making, and there's some conflict of interest there. There's some.
They said that with Alameda and FTX too, right?
What?
They said that with Alameda. And
Yes,
FTX
yeah, they said that too. So, and honestly, I also hesitated when I was a trader. I also hesitated trading on FTX, and main reason was, well, Alameda's already there, and they're probably like, I don't think they have any advantages, but why throw myself into the lion's den, so that's a real thing. But the advantage that it gets you is you can move very quickly and deploy. And if the Mango DAO launches markets, there are market makers who can trade on it very quickly and provide liquidity. And I know we have a market maker right now, and it's done its job, I think, of bootstrapping liquidity. But I think we also would want a much more robust, like trading across asset classes, back testing, monitoring the risk, all that stuff that like a professional market making firm could do. And so that was kind of exciting, coming full circle from trading to building Mango, and then now building Mango and trading. But anyway, I don't know if I'll do it. I just was wondering what people's opinions are.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and we have that, and we also have I think Max is experimenting more with the in terms of, I don't want to say it's the more decentralized approach for sure, actually, which I think we should experiment with. So I think it's good. And then there are questions in the chat, so let's get to that. I guess this is now the question session.
Would you consider, would you consider with the market making thing, going to big market makers and proposing something like, we'll give you 5 million Mango if you make a 20 basis point market and are there 95% of the day, something like that?
Yeah, so the DAO can totally do this, and we consider this in the governance chat, but maybe we should just have a vote on it, huh? Like we're planning on having a bunch of votes on Monday, or launching a bunch of votes. So maybe as part of that, we'll have a vote, kind of like a resolution. There's no instruction there, but just text. And the vote would be, should we go to professional market maker and give them a deal? Or should we continue with our like open all access kind of approach? Of course, if we're going to go give them a deal, it requires someone negotiating or figuring out what those numbers actually are. I can do it. And there are market makers who are Mango DAO participants too. So there's lots of people who can make that happen. But I don't have a good sense of how much it costs. It probably costs less than what we're doing, which is dumping a bunch of liquidity, or dumping a bunch of liquidity mining rewards. But yeah, that's totally under consideration. And like, let me add it to the proposal.
Yeah, it seems to me that there could be a place for both. I think having it available for everyone like it is now is important and drives liquidity, but also there's no sort of requirement now for a market maker to stand there at all times. So the worry for me is that liquidity dries up in
Mhm.
bigger events, and liquidity is always going to dry up in bigger moves, you know, as risk grows for market makers. But
Yeah.
you know, having some contract, so to say, in place that says, hey, if you stand there, we'll provide you
Yeah.
something, might make sense.
Yeah. I think that's right though. Liquidity drying up during big moves has, I think, okay, a part of it is like node issues and whatnot. Just the nodes get slammed. It's a hardware, you could say hardware issue. I think the other part of it is we expect it, right? Like in that volatility, things do happen, and people, luckily, our oracles are, or the mark price is based on the oracle price, which is not the order book. So we have that advantage. That does not going to cause like liquidations, although liquidators might not get as good prices, and that may be bad. I feel like the risk isn't as big as if it were FTX, for example. But I agree with you that there is extra risk. Okay, so we have questions. Let me just, there are actually a lot of people said stuff. So quality of life. What are your thoughts on DYDX? It seems like they're really growing the pie for everyone in the perp space by getting so much volume. Media attention is there. Oh yeah, cool story. Like I flew into SF last week, and you know, just to scope it out and see if I could want to move here, but met Antonio Giuliano, the founder of DYDX, at a party like immediately, and yeah, we chatted. It was good time. Then we went together to another party. SF is kind of a crazy place. What are my thoughts on DYDX? I think, yeah, I basically agree with this, right? Like I think they're growing the pie. If you look at the formula, they are paying for volume, basically. That might be a good strategy. Might be something we should do, but we should just kind of like see the long-term consequences of it first, and then we could do it. And they have so DYDX does have this like meta-based dashboard that you can look at. We also have one. I don't think we made it public yet, which is a little bit of an issue. Have to talk to Tyler before I can make it public. Oh, well, I can't get into the DYDX metabase. Anyway, I'll share a link later if I find it in our Discord. Is there some way for Mango to capitalize on this? I think the way we capitalize on it is we get to observe how it goes for them, and then tweak whatever we do to be like to not fall into the same pitfalls, or lean into the good aspects. The Zeta guy said they would have CX like WebSocket API. Yeah, that's a good idea. CX like WebSocket API. It's a great idea. We have not built it. People were saying step finance. Does step show? I haven't been to step in a long time, but step shows like your historical performance. It's quite hard, like especially if the projects themselves are not logging things. It's quite hard. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, people tell me Step does, but I know they don't have it for Mango because it's hard. But maybe they have it for serum trades. Why isn't there any incentive to deposit serum? In a way there is. So if you look at the interest rate params for serum, which you can check it out if you go to the learn and you go all the way down to asset specs. Yeah, let me share this. Asset interest rates. Okay, so in a way, it's probably not enough, but in a way, there are incentives to deposit serum because the interest rate is higher for serum. Like the formula is just, the curve is just shifted up. And it's for this reason that we want, people to deposit serum, and actually we want there to be a bunch of extra serum lying around because it benefits all of us. Yeah, maybe make a post on the forum on like what it should be. If you have a concrete plan about what it should be and you can defend it, yeah, make a post. Well, also, we've been thinking about how to get the mega serum, right? So even if we have 1 million extra serum in the vaults, it's not as good as having a mega serum, which gets the fees even lower. But a mega serum, you know, would not be part of the asset pools, and we'd have to build like an incentive structure around it and test it and all that stuff. And so it hasn't been like a top priority. Also keep in mind the amount of fee reduction that would give you relative to the cost of a mega serum is just really high. Maybe it's going to save us like a couple bips here and there. Maybe it's good marketing, but that's why it hasn't been a really high priority so far. Thoughts? Well, let's see. Let me go back up on this. People have a lot of messages. Oh gosh. Are there plans to support Pisol or Msul? Yeah, if there's liquidity on the book, yeah, why not? We should support it. Again, I think these things are easier. Like one of the advantages, okay, there's a lot of disadvantages with decentralization, right? Like, let's be honest. You can move more quickly when you're centralized. But one of the advantages of decentralization is like anyone who has the information can make a forum post and argue their case and kind of gather the information around it. The thing for Msul or adding any tokens is that we want to have good liquidity on the Serum Dex book, which there isn't a very concrete rubric for what that means, but you can kind of look at the parameters that we've set for other tokens and the liquidity that they have on the Serum Dex book. You kind of figure out, roughly what you think it should be. Last time I checked, there was not an Msul USDC market on Serum Dex. So that's sort of what we need to do it. But if we get that, I think that's a pretty good idea. Python library to trade on Mango. Is someone focused on this? Yes, Jeff is focused on this. Yeah, Jeff. Well, Jeff was building the market maker, and now I think he's shifting back to still the market maker, but also just making the Python client really good. So really easy for people to use, independent of using the market maker. Then we have Microwave Cola has a high-level Python API on top of the REST API. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably true. Like, I think Alameda does not have any advantages over anyone else. But a couple of years ago, I didn't know that. And I also wasn't well connected to go and ask, like, hey, do you guys have, just some rando? And so that's just something to be wary of, I think. It's also different in our case, but of course, a couple of years ago, a rando like me would just look at the situation and say, oh, well, I just expect that it's going to be harder on FTX because maybe Alameda just knows every part of their tech stack, and so they're able to optimize it in a better way, or something along those lines. And I think Mango is very pro randos. Randos on the internet should sort of feel comfortable that if they're trading on Mango, it's as much as feasible, right? The project success is the main goal, of course, but as much as we can possibly attain this, we should be credibly neutral and make it so randos feel comfortable trading on Mango markets. And that's the whole point of decentralization and DeFi. So yeah. But if there was if I had a market making firm, I think it would be much more open source. And of course, the source code is all Mango version 3 is all open source. So it's not quite analogous to the FTX Alameda situation. We have some more comments. Let's see. Thoughts on Drift? Yeah, I'm. I don't spend enough time. We should have like a person in Mango who just spends time going to the different projects that are launching and checks them out. I just have like preliminary thoughts on Drift. I think the team is really smart and good, and I think they take UX very seriously, which is important. Yeah, same with Zeta. So just based on what I've seen and heard from them, I think they're also really competent and good. So of course, the Drift protocol is like let's just say VAMs, right? Virtual automated market makers. So very different approach from Mango. And honestly, like we have to, a lot of people like to shit on VAMs, but I've always felt from the beginning that VAMs are not so good yet, but I don't see there isn't like a fundamental reason why they shouldn't be the dominant, the dominant way to do things. It's just that it's going to take a lot of work and people have to tweak things. I think if Swapman or Swapadoodle was on the call, he would give you like 30 reasons why he hates VAMs or thinks whatever, but he's not on the call. But yeah, I think, yeah, if they do VAMs really well, then Mango should do VAMs. We should, Mango v4 will be VAMs if Drift is able to demonstrate that VAMs are really good. But yeah, we're focusing on the central limit order book, which we'll figure out. And I think the main challenge for us is getting liquidity on the book. The main challenge for Drift is not getting liquidity on the book because they don't need to get liquidity on the book, but to basically the protocol itself becomes a market maker. So to write the formulas correctly so it's a really good market maker. I think that's their challenge. And yeah, we'll see. I think that, based on Twitter, they've done a good job on the Drift, on the UI. Thought about integrating options custody into Mango. DeFi derivatives to options are going to be huge. Yeah, options. I spent some time thinking about like everlasting options. There was an article by SBF and some other guy about everlasting options. They sound interesting. This is like one of the options for Mango v4, which we haven't, you know, it hasn't fully taken shape yet on what it should be. But honestly, a little bit skeptical about options, but you know, it's kind of natural just to go there. If we have the space with the new Solana release, why not include it? But yeah, a little bit skeptical that people really want options. Yeah. Yes. You can get into a situation where marginal longs and marginal shorts both have no incentive to enter. Yeah. I know it can get a little bit screwy with VAMs where it's not fully zero sum. And so you can end up in weird situations, but maybe you can balance it out with an insurance fund or whatever. And the protocol itself can balance it out. Any updates on the MSRM? Yeah, no, I mean, we had no takers. There aren't really any MSRMs out there. Just like.
Can we mint one? Because I know that you just, like, you know, I don't know if there's 1,000 out there, or has anybody claimed their MSRM? Do you know what I mean?
We would have to probably, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Isn't it easy to check?
Yeah, I was too lazy actually. I think maybe Explorer will probably be able to check that. They have the Mega Serum.
Yeah. Go to Explorer.
Current supply is 11. That
Yeah,
seems low.
So we can mint them.
Geez, but isn't there supposed to be like, isn't there supposed to be like 1,000 of these things?
That's the cap. That's the max.
No, but that means that I think there was close to 1,000. I think almost all the Mega Serums were sold. Oh, only 2.5% were released. Okay. So yeah, we just need to buy. We just need to buy 1 million serum.
Yeah, just need to buy 1 million serum, and yeah, like if you like do the math, like I love the idea, right? And I think so. We have version 3.1 coming out Monday, but I think like instead of focusing on longer term objectives, I'm almost inclined to just crank out 3.2 very quickly, where we can have flash loans. And the advantage of flash loans, the use case that comes to mind immediately is you can basically borrow the Mega Serum, put it into your wallet, make your serum trade, and then return the Mega Serum all in the same instruction. Well, same instruction with an inner instruction.
That's amazing.
So let's say same transaction. Yeah. So everyone can have the really low fees of a Mega Serum. Of course, you know, even if we don't have a Mega Serum, you can use the serum in the Mango Vault to do this. Which means then we can add the spot markets to the Mango UI, I think. And just have like, okay, there's margin trading, and then there's spot. You can trade Serum Dex spot and have the lowest fees.
Have you seen this latest Serum governance post? They're actually looking to incentivize people who are running front ends. So I think that you might even be able to apply for a grant for Mango. You might be able to apply for a grant based on how much liquidity or actual volume they're sending their way.
Yeah, I have not seen their forum. I know Armani's been setting up all that stuff recently, but
I'll send a link in the governance chat. But it looks promising. I don't think you get 1 million serum from them, but you could get something, you know, high enough. Again, what's the spot market actual volume that Mango's contributing? Do you know roughly? Is it like what, like $10 million a week? Is it $100 million a week or something?
Yeah, Nick, do you know I know that numbers have been changing.
Yeah, it's like 100 million a week.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, okay. Let me look at the numbers and I'll come back to you quickly.
Yeah, I think if we can get the UI, a lot of this work is just UI. Like, to be honest, the program code is very simple on this front to get everyone the lowest fees. So if we can get the UI pretty good, then we should be doing a lot of volume. Liquidity mining program. Nice. Wow, they have a lot of like thoughtful responses. You guys, what the hell? Okay, Jump is okay. Jump is posting here. They have, you know, like long essays on each post. We should try to match this. This is good. Of course, I'm not going to read the long essays, so.
Up our response game. No one reads the responses.
Yeah.
But yeah, they want to reward value locked rather than actual volume, which kind of sucks. But I mean, I don't know how to compare that. But you can get 10%, 10 to 20% back from your value locked in Serum. That's what they're offering, basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand what value locked means in the Serum, like in the open orders account.
Yeah, it must just be orders on the book, I think.
Ah, okay, that makes sense, right? It's like liquidity provisioning, but you know, you could put the orders deep in the book.
Exactly. It's a little bit naive, but
if you make the book small enough, then there's like a competition to be near the top. Like if there's only 100 spots on the book, then it's like the top 100 orders get the liquidity.
It's not automated though. Mango's market making, whatever, liquidity, you know, incentives are way more advanced than this very kind of basic, like, let's just do a governance vote and just give people money. But it's, I mean, we you know, we've also debated doing that, right? Just paying market makers. So that's sort of like the approach they're taking, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. Wow, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the liquidity mining rewards, and again, the person with the largest volume gets like almost nothing in the rewards. Wow, only 3% of the rewards. Sad. I'm the person with the largest volume, so this is this is making me jealous. Okay. Yeah, I have to head out soon. Any questions in the chat? Let me check the other chat. Well, let me stop the recording. So.